All right, so tonight I want to talk to you all. I want to leave a subject on your brain, all right, for you to take with you for the rest of the day, for the rest of your week, for the rest of this year, the rest of your life, all right? And that is health is your greatest wealth. All right, I'm gonna say that one more time. Health is your greatest wealth. Now, this, of course, is after the spirit of the Most High. All right, we know the Most High spirit is the greatest wealth that we can ever receive in this earth plane. But after that, your health is your greatest wealth. And so I've been inspired by this message because there have been so many individuals that I have, been able to come across over these years of me, serving the Most High, years of me being in the entrepreneurial space and rubbing shoulders and connecting with so many different individuals. And I've come across some that have had a tremendous net worth, all kind of income, all kind of resources, houses, cars, but they've been in and out of the hospital, in and out of the hospital. And so I had to come up to the realization that, yes, this person may be someone who I look up to. This person might be someone that I could call and get some business advice. It may be someone that can share valuable pieces of knowledge with me. But this person is in, and these people are in and out of the hospital. And that is something that I personally do not want to be able to emulate. I want to make sure that my temple and my body is in optimal shape. Even to those of you that read the book of we talked about I think it's Numbers and Joshua. We talked about how Caleb, at the age of 85 years old, he was still able to go out and come in. He was able to still go out and come in like a young man. And so I wish that upon every one of you that's on the live tonight. Your health is your greatest wealth. So let's go to Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiastes chapter 30. And this is it right here. All right. So this is what I'm striving for. Don't get me wrong. I've been, very adamant and very, consistent with trying to, build wealth and trying to make, wise financial decisions and, trying to be more disciplined when it comes to managing money and spending it and saving it, more towards investments and things of that nature. Right. And that's cool. All right, that is great. The scripture tells us in wisdom to don't chase riches, because riches makes themselves wings and they fly away, you know, they fly away. So I'm not chasing riches. All right, I got the wisdom aspect on that. But what I am striving for is optimum health. And I think everyone on this live is going to be striving for the same thing, or they at least want the same thing, to have optimal health, to be around. Because guess what? Even if the stock market crashes and you have all your money wrapped up into different, index funds, and you got stocks, you got your portfolios looking good, you got some cryptocurrencies, you got annuities, you got all these different things going for yourself. But if the stock market crashes, you could be out of a whole lot of money. But if you have your health, you still have the means to go and generate more income, even if you're 60, even if you're 70 years old. So let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 30. Ecclesiastes chapter 30, and we're going to go to verse 14. It says, better is the poor being sound and strong of constitution than a rich man that is afflicted in his body. Number 15, health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. So now we got two back-to-back scriptures that's telling us that a poor man that is strong and of good constitution is better than a rich man that has issues with their health. That's something to take into consideration right there. Your health is your wealth. And so as long as you're in optimal shape, I mean, it's endless opportunities that can open up for you, right? But there are so many that have sown to the flesh and they have reaped corruption. There are so many that have sown to the flesh and they've been in and out of hospital beds. There are so many that have sown to the flesh and now they're no longer with us anymore. So we have to really take heed to what the wisdom is saying. So now let's go down to Ecclesiastes chapter. We're in the same chapter, chapter 30. We're going to skip over to verse number 25. It says, a cheerful and a good heart will have care of his meat and his diet. A cheerful and a good heart, good mind, will have care A nice amount of people today, they just do not care. All right. And so many people, they talk about obesity, other foreign countries, foreign nations, they're out there, they ride their bikes to work. They jog to work. They walk to work, right? And so with us, we have to drive. And when we pull up to work, we're pulling up to the parking space right in the front of the building. We don't like to park far away so that we can walk, so we can, boost up our metabolism so that we can walk. Hallelujah. I appreciate that, Sister Rebecca. Encouragement for the word. We just continue to just be lazy. And we have to make sure that we are conditioning our minds. All right, that we're going to challenge ourselves. When I'm in a escalator, when I'm going up the escalator, I use that as an opportunity for me to do some steps. So instead of just waiting for me to just let it gradually take me up, I start walking up the steps. Sometimes I walk up the steps sideways just to work out certain parts of my calf muscle, work out certain parts of my shins and my hamstrings. All right. You have to find creative ways to challenge your body. All right, to push yourself to greater lifts. So just we talked about we're just getting started. We're talking about the eating part right now. All right, health and wellness. Let's go to. We talked about verse number 14. We went to 25. Now I want to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 37. 37. We're going to talk about this because if you talk to health and wellness experts, and my brother Darren Inspirers, he's on here, but he's tied up. He's got some stuff going on right now. He may not be able to speak. But if you talk to health and wellness experts, they will tell you that 80% of it is what you intake into your body. They would say 80% is what you eat, and the other 20% is exercise. Now, we do not want to minimize the exercising, though. It's very important. All right, it builds those endorphins, it builds those positive feelings. All right, exercise is very important, but they say what you eat. All right, but they say we dig our grave with our teeth. And so it's amazing how the spoon is shaped like a shovel. You ever pay attention to that? Why the spoon is shaped like a shovel? But let's continue. So now we're going to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 37 and verse number 29. It said, "Be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meat." So if you're taking notes right now, you might want to write this down. It's to not to be too greedy upon meat. Now I'm going to get into a secular source today by Dr. Peter J. D'Adamo. All right, he wrote a book. It's called "Eat Right for Your Type." Eat right for your blood type. And this is something I want to share with you all today. And I'm going to specifically, I know in the message I talked about the O and the A. Today, I'm mainly going to focus on the O type because I believe 90 something percent of those of you that's on this live, you may have an O type, whether you know it or don't know it. And the small percentage of us, we deal with the A blood type. So I don't need to deal with the small percentage right now. We're going to deal with the main. All right, the main blood type. So let's focus on that. So now, the type O diet is a way to restore the natural protective functions of your immune system, reset your metabolic clock, and support the health of your microbiome. So I'm going to open this book up right here, and it's filled with nuggets. It's laden down with nuggets. And I want you to take a heed to this. So I'm going to gradually go through this book. If you have a pen, you can write this down. I'm going to tell you about some foods that may be good for you, and I'm going to tell you about some other ones that you want to watch out for. You want to watch out for some of these foods, all right? So I'm gonna give a quick book reference. This author is also the author of multiple other books as well, which is Eat Right for Your Type, Cook Right for Your Type, and Live Right for Your Type. These books include extensive details that will help you fully understand the important role that blood types play in determining diet, exercise, health, disease, longevity, physical vitality, and emotional stability. So a lot of us, sometimes we don't understand why we're so emotionally unstable. And a lot of this is directed to the foods that we intake into our body. So the doctor went on to say that blood types are as fundamental as creation itself. In the masterful logic of nature, the four blood types follow an unbroken trail through human evolution. It says when an antibody encounters the antigen of a microbiota invader, a reaction called agglutination, literally lung occurs. Now I'm gonna talk about these lectins for a minute. So I'm gonna start going through some of these foods that you want to write down and take heed to. So lectins are an abundant and diverse proteins found in foods having agglutinating properties that affect your blood. Lectins are a powerful way for organisms in nature to attach themselves to other organisms in nature. And so these can affect, not having the right type of lectins inside of you can affect your kidneys, your liver, your brain, your stomach, and etc. So the type O diet is a way to restore the natural protective functions of your immune system. Now, I'm gonna say something that some of you all might not agree with. All right, and because the blood type that I have is more geared towards a vegan slash occasional. You probably might say pescatarian. I can eat occasional fish. All right, and I can talk about that a little bit later. But type O thrives on animal protein. Now, a lot of us, when we think about animal protein, that's not the healthiest thing that's going to come to our mind about trying to maintain a blood type. Now, it's not to say that you're supposed to eat a whole lot of it and clobber on it all day long, but it's very important that you get some doses of some type of meat inside of you if you have a type of O type of blood type. And then the old type of blood type, it relates to the ancient person of civilization, the hunter and the gatherer. And so it says the hunter and gatherer diet and the enormous physical demands placed on the system of the early type O's probably kept most primitive humans in a mild state of ketosis. Ketosis is a condition in which the body's metabolism is altered. Ketosis is the result of a high protein, high fat diet that includes very few carbohydrates. That's the reason why a nice amount of us that's trying to lose weight, those that's trying to lose weight, when they have a bunch of carbs inside of them, their body is really fighting against that with all those ketosis. The success of the type O diet depends on your use of lean, chemical, and pesticide-free meat, poultry, and fish. So it said your diet is organized into 12 different food groups. These 12 food groups are meats and poultries, seafood, dairy and eggs, oils and fats, nuts and seeds, beans and legumes, grains and cereals, vegetables, fruits, beverages, teas and coffees, herbs and spices, condiments, sweeteners, and additives. And so this is what this book goes through. It goes through these 12 different food groups, and they rate them as such. One is called highly beneficial. So a highly beneficial food is a food that acts like a medicine. The second type of food is a neutral type of food. Neutral is a food that acts like food. So not to get those two mixed up, because the highly beneficial foods that you see on this chart that I'm about to share with you, it acts like medicine to your body. It will heal you. Neutral is just, it acts like a food. It fills you up. It makes you feel good. It fills in space, and it can have some benefits to it as well. And the third one is the last category is to avoid. And avoid means that this food acts like a poison. So let's go through some of these. So let's start off with seafood. It's recommended that those of an African American descent have seafood 1 to 4 times a week. All right, and the portion size is 4 to 6 ounces. So African American descent is 1 to 4 times a week. Caucasian is 3 to 5 times, and the Asian is 4 to 6. Although people of different races and culture may share a blood type, they don't always have the same frequency in the gene. So it goes on to talk about a type A. If you got two parents, that might be a 2A blood types. It might be an AA, and then you may have one that's an A and one that's an O. You have a child that's an AO. All right, so now we're going to go into meats and poultry. Now we're making our way to these meats and poultry. So the type O blood type for meats and poultries, when it comes to lean red meats, it says the portion size is 4 to 6 ounces for men, and they're supposed to have lean red meats 5 to 7 times a week. Now that might be a shocker right there. Some people might say that's too much meat, but remember, this is lean. lean meat, okay? And the portion size for women is 4 to 6 ounces. For men, is 2 to 5 ounces for women and children. And that's 5 to 7 times a week. Caucasians is 4 to 6 times a week. Asians is 3 to 5 times a week. Poultry, 4 to 6 ounces again. And poultry for men, the African American men, they're only supposed to have it 1 to 2 times a week. Caucasians are supposed to have it 2 to 3 times, and Asian 3 to 4 times a week. Poultry for women, 2 to 5 ounces, 1 to 2 times a week, 2 to 3 times for Caucasians, 3 to 4 times for Asians. It says eat lean, chemical, and pesticide-free beef, lamb, beef liver, and venison as a primary protein source. These are your preferred meats, although chicken, turkey, and other neutral poultry foods are allowed. All right. And so it said optimally you should choose free range and grass-fed meats. Grass-fed meats is a natural source of omega-3 fatty acids. All right, grab your pen. All right, I want y'all to get ready to start writing. So these are the highly beneficial foods, all right, in this category as we're talking about meats and poultry. Highly beneficial is beef, beef heart, beef liver. No, some of the stuff we don't eat. Beef bison. They say a lamb, moose, sweetbreads, veal, and venison. So these are highly beneficial for those that have an O type. Neutral foods for neutral type of meats and poultry for O type is a chicken, chicken liver, duck, which we don't eat duck, but goat. All right. It got guinea hen, it got ostrich, pheasant, and goose. All right, some of these foods, of course, against the dietary laws of Leviticus chapter 11. So some of these things we don't participate in, but I'm just reading to you from the list. All right, neutral foods as well. You have turkey. These are the foods that you want to avoid if you are a person that has an O type for meat and poultry. Duck liver, goose liver, ham, which we know we're not supposed to deal with swine anyway, pork and bacon, quail, and turtle. So those are the beneficial, neutral, and foods to avoid in the meat section and poultry. All right, now we're going to go to seafood. Seafood, it says all recommended seafood 4 to 6 ounces. All right, that might be a rule of thumb for this doctor right here. African Americans are supposed to eat seafood 1 to 4 times a week, according to this doctor. 3 to 5 times a week for Caucasians, 4 to 6 times a week for Asian. All right. Seafood, the second most concentrated animal protein, is well suited for type O. Rich oil, cold water fish such as cod, herring, mackerel are excellent for type O because they contain in the much needed anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acid and help build up active tissue mass. Make sure your fish is fresh caught, not farm raised, and free of industrial toxins. So now we're going to go to the highly beneficial foods for those of you for seafood eaters. Highly beneficial is bass, lake sea strip, cod, halibut, mackerel, perch, pike, red snapper, shad, sole, sturgeon, sunfish, swordfish, tilefish, trout, rainbow trout, and yellowtail. Of course, some of these we have to go back and do your research and see if they have fins and scales. These are the neutral type of fishes or seafoods. Anchovy, beluga, bluefish, bluehead, butterfish, carp, caviar, chub, clam, crab. Of course, we don't eat crab. Croaker, cuss, drum, eel, flounder, grouper, haddock, hake, half moonfish, harveyfish, herring, fresh pickle, smoke, lobster, which we don't eat that, mackerel, mahi, monkfish, mullet, mussels, ocean pout, opaleye fish, orange ruffy, oyster, parrotfish, pickerel, walleye, pilchards, pompano, porgy, rosefish, saltfish, salmon, salmon roast, salmon smoke, sardine, scallop, scud, sea beam, shark, shrimp, which we don't eat shark as well, skate, smelt, sucker, sunfish, tilapia, trout, steelhead, tuna, bluefish, skipjack, yellowfin, turbot, and European, and whitefish and whiting. So Pay attention to that. All right. I see we got some edification going in. Please, you can leave your edification in the line as well. These are the seafoods to avoid: abalone, Newton fish, barracuda, catfish, conch. We already know the biblical dietary laws with catfish, frog, muscaline, octopus, pollock, Atlantic, squid, and calamari. I know we talked about the calamari. For those that got money, they talk about calamari on rap videos and all that. All right, type O, it says you're supposed to stay away from that calamari. So now we're going on to the dairy and eggs. All right, dairy is scary. And no matter what type of blood type you have, whether it's the A or whether it's the O, dairy is a no-go. All right, so that make some of you all upset when I say that, but dairy is not good for you. And so I'm gonna stop right here, because when I take it back to my time of consuming dairy, I never knew years ago that I would be up doing a lesson and I get ready to share some scriptures with some people. Do this via this conference call that I did for years, and I would get up and I would say, I start going through the scriptures, and I didn't know what it was. And someone pointed out, okay, that's dairy. And so that mucus that comes from eating cheese, from eating sour cream, all the things that come, all these different eggs. Oh my goodness, that it builds up mucus for me, for my body. When I eat chicken, all right, I don't eat chicken no more, but when I eat chicken, it clogs up my throat. All right, these are things that you want to pay attention to, because a nice amount of time your body is speaking to you. Your body is sending off signals telling you what's good for you or not. It's up to you to pay attention. Watch out for the dairy. All right, mucus. Mucus also, one time I was eating some lamb, and sometimes, I don't eat lamb that often. I only eat it maybe a few times a year, maybe kind of around the feast days and things of that nature. So I ate me some lamb, and one time I went over there and I was eating it quite a bit. And even with that, it caused mucus. All right, so you have to, going back to Ecclesiastes, it talks about an excess of meat will bring sickness. The scriptures are not lying to us. So pay attention to that, all right? Also, sound sleep come by moderate eating. That's in the book of Ecclesiastes as well. But a pain in the cloor comes by the person that's, putting too much inside of their belly. So now let's continue. So we're going to move forward with the dairy and the eggs. Blood type O. This is the food portion for eggs. It said egg food portion for African American is 0 times a week. That's crazy. Now the other breakdowns, it was 1 to 4, 1 to 4, maybe 5 to 7. This one, it says 0 times a week. A person with African American descent is supposed, or African descent is supposed to have eggs. So eggs is 0 times a week. Caucasians 4 to 8 times a week. Asians 4 to 8 times a week. So the Caucasians and the Asians, they can eat eggs, but the so-called people with African descent, African American descent, they cannot eat eggs. It's not in your best interest. Cheese, all right, the portion size is 2 ounces. Once again, African Americans or Africans, 0 times a week. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. This make me sad right here, because I ain't gonna lie. I like to put a little cheese on some of my stuff. I ain't even about to talk to you. I ain't about to lie to you, right? But cheese is not recommended to put on your food 0 times a week. Africans, 0. Caucasians, they can eat a little cheese 0 to 3 times a week. Asians, 0 to 3 times a week. What about milk? All right, I know y'all love y'all some milk, right? Milk, the portion size going back to 4 to 6. I believe that this is his kind of his rule of thumb. 4 to 6 times, the 4 to 6 portion, African Americans or Africans, 0 times a week. You are not supposed to be consuming milk, according to this doctor. Now, I know there's some other health experts that might come on and combat everything I'm saying on this live tonight, but all I'm doing is going by a doctor who is certified and is I believe, I want to say, a homeopathic way. He don't even believe in prescribing over-the-counter pills like that, as I begin to continue to read into his work. So I'm just saying, whether you fight it or not, if you have African American or African descent, it says you're not supposed to eat eggs, you're not supposed to eat cheese, you're not supposed to eat milk. That right there can make somebody get very upset. Caucasians, they can drink milk 0 to 1 times a week. Asians can do it 0 to 2. So Asians and Caucasians, they even only can do it 1 to 2 times a week. That tells you how bad this milk is. And I believe you have different alternatives on different milks that you can consume inside of here. Type O should severely restrict the use of dairy products. Your system is not designed for the proper daily metabolism, and dairy foods can also exacerbate inflammatory conditions and cause weight gain. So some of you all may be thinking, why can't I lose weight? Well, guess what? How much eggs are you eating? How much cheese are you putting inside of your body? How much milk are you drinking? This might be a cause of it right here. It said the sugars in dairy products can also disrupt type O microbiome, causing digestive problems. Eggs can be consumed in moderation. They are a good source of DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, essential for mental and visual functions. Now, it said the eggs can be consumed in moderation, but of course, that has to be talking between the Caucasians and the Asians, because it said the Africans cannot consume it at all. So now, highly beneficial. It's only two things that this book refers to as highly beneficial in the category of dairy and eggs, and that's pecorino cheese and Romanian Erda. That's it. Pecorino cheese and Romania Erda. Now we go to the neutrals. Now, neutrals, once of course, they act like food. And remember that African descent and the different differences between the African descents, the Asians, and the Caucasians. The butter's neutral, egg whites, chicken, egg whole ducks, egg yolk, farmer cheese, feta cheese, ghee, goat cheese, mozzarella cheese, all types. These are what they put in the neutral. But of course, as you see, the African descent, that's on this line, the African descent, you cannot consume it. You're not supposed to consume it at all. Now, these are the dairy products they say to avoid. Avoid American cheese, blue cheese. That's a bummer right there. I used to love me some blue cheese. Brie cheese, buttermilk, Camembert cheese, cheddar cheese, Colby cheese, cottage cheese, cream cheese, Edam cheese, egg goose, egg quail, Emmental, Swiss cheese. That's another one I used to love, Swiss cheese. Gorgonzola cheese, Gouda cheese, Gruyere cheese, half and half. This is another to avoid, ice cream. How many of y'all over there got some ice cream tucked away in your refrigerator right now? Ice cream, Jarlsberg cheese, kefir, manchego cheese, milk, cow, skim, 2% whole milk. Avoid that as well. Milk period, goat milk, Monterey Jack cheese, Munster cheese, Nuftali cheese, Pinner cheese, Parmesan cheese, provolone cheese, quark cheese, ricotta cheese, romaine cheese, Roquefort cheese. I kind of sound like Bubba Gump from Forrest Pump when he talked about all those different types of shrimp, pineapple shrimp, all these different shrimps that he was saying. That's what I'm saying about the cheese right now, right? Roquefort cheese, sherbet. They got to deal with that sherbet. Sour cream, Stilton cheese, string cheese, Swiss cheese, whey protein, and yogurt. Look at that right there. Whey protein and yogurt. All right, so I don't want to discourage anybody online though, because I know it could be like, man, look at all this stuff that we can't, consume. I want you to focus on all the other things that you can consume. In this book, it says that basically the average person only eats about 25 different types of food. Only 25 different types of food. All right, it's a lot of food. It's a lot of different variations and combinations that we have out there. So now we're moving on to the oils and fats. All right, we got to watch out for these oils and fats. So the oils portion is 1 tablespoon, and of African descent is 1 to 5 times a week. Caucasian is 4 to 8 times a week, and Asian is 3 to 7 times a week. So as to deal with these oils, you're supposed to take 1 tablespoon 1 to 5 times a week if you're of an African descent, African American descent. Caucasians 4 to 8 times, Asians 3 to 7. It says type O responds well to many oils, which can be an important source of nutrients and add to elimination. You will increase their value in system if you limit your use to monosaturated oils such as olive oil and those high in omega series fatty acids like flaxseed oil. All right, so now we're going to go on to the highly beneficial oils. Camelina oil, flaxseed oil, olive oil, rice bran oil, almond oil. Oh, almond is neutral. Now we're going into the neutral area that acts just like food, but it's not a medicine. Almond oil, apricot kernel oil, black currant oil, board seed oil, canola oil, chia seed oil, cod liver oil, hemp seed oil, macadamia oil, perilla seed oil, pumpkin seed oil, sesame seed oil, and walnut oil. These are the oils. All right, write down. If you're writing this down, these are the oils that the doctor is telling you to avoid right here. avocado oil, castor oil, coconut oil. Come on, man. Don't tell me coconut oil. Coconut oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, even in primrose oil, lard. Of course, we don't deal with lard anyway. Margarine, palm oil, peanut oil, safflower oil, soy oil, sunflower oil, and wheat germ oil. These are the oils that the doctor is telling you stay away from. All right, now we're going over to the nuts and to the seeds. All right, we got a shocked face over there. It's like, oh my goodness, brother, you shouldn't have been talking about this today, man. You just messed my boat up. All right, now we're going over to the nuts and to the seeds now, right? Now it talks about nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds, the portion is 6 to 8 nuts. All right, so that's the way you want to calculate your portion, 6 to 8 nuts. African Americans or Africans 3 to 4 times a week. Caucasians 3 to 7 times a week. Asians 2 to 4 times a week. Remember, this is just 6 to 8 nuts. You can only do that 3 to 4 times a week if you're African. Caucasian 3 to 7, Asians 2 to 4. Now this is nut butters. 1 tablespoon, all right, 1 tablespoon 3 to 4 times a week if you're African, 1 tablespoon if you're Caucasian 3 to 7 times, and 1 tablespoon 2 to 4 if you're Asian descent. Type O can find good sources of supplement vegetable protein from some varieties of nuts and seeds. However, these foods should in no way take the place of high protein meat. You certainly don't need them in your diet and should be very selective in their use as they are high in fat. Since nuts can sometimes cause digestive problems, be sure to chew them thoroughly or use nut busters, which are easier to digest, especially if you have the colon problems that are more frequently experienced by type O. All right, so now we're going into highly beneficial nuts and seeds. Highly beneficial is carob, chestnut, Chinese, flaxseed, hemp seed, pumpkin seeds, and walnuts. These are the neutral for the oils. Almond butter, these are nuts and seeds, excuse me. Almond butter, almond milk, butternut, chia seed, filbert, hazelnut, hickory, macadamia nuts, pecan butter, pine nut, pignolia, safflower seeds, sesame butter, tahini, sesame flour, sesame seed, watermelon seed. These are the nuts that you are supposed to avoid if you are type O. Beech nut, Brazilian nut, cashew, cashew butter, chestnut, peanut butter, peanut flour, pistachio nuts, poppy seeds, sunflower butter, and sunflower seed. Man, it tells type O to stay away from peanut butter. Well, guess what? I'm glad I don't have to do that because I'm of the other blood type and I get to eat peanut butter. Peanut butter is a superfood for me, but it's not for you if you're a type O. So now we're going over to beans and legumes. Blood type O. All right, beans and legumes, the portion is 1 cup dry, all right? And 1 cup of beans and legumes, 1 to 2 times a week for African descent. Caucasians, 1 to 2 times. And we have Asians 2 to 6 times a week. Let's talk about some highly beneficial beans and legumes. Highly beneficial is the adzuki bean, the black-eyed pea. All right, those are the highly beneficials that act like medicine. These are the neutral. Neutrals are black beans, broad beans, fava, butter bean, canna lily bean, garbanzo bean, chickpea, great northern bean, green bean, haricot vert, jicama, lima bean, mung bean, sprouts, nata, pea, green, snow yellow, snap bean, soybean, all right, so soybean tofu, soybean cheese, soybean granulates, lectin, soybean meal, soy flakes, soy milk, soy miso, soy beans, white beans, and yellow beans. All these are just neutral. Now, these are the beans that you need to avoid if you are type O. Copper beans, kidney beans, lentils of all types, lentils sprouted, navy beans, pinto beans, soybean pasta, tamarind beans. Now we're moving on to the grains and cereals. All right, grains and cereals. So breads and crackers. This says 1 portion. 1 portion equals 1 slice. And it says for African descent, 0 to 4 times a week. This is talking about 1 slice of crackers. 0 to 2 times for Caucasians, Caucasians and Asians 0 to 4. So it's telling us that you got to watch out for that bread. If you're a type O, it said that you're only supposed to eat one slice 0 to 4 times a week. Bread and crackers, all right? It said the muffins, half of a muffin, 0 to 2 times a week, 0 to 1 time if you're a Caucasian, 0 to 1 if you are Asian. Grains, a half a cup dry, 0 to 3 times a week if you're African descent, 0 to 3 if you're Caucasian, 0 to 3 if you're Asian. And pastas, half a cup dry, 0 to 3 times a week if you're African, 0 to 3 times a week if you're Caucasian, 0 to 3 times a week if you are an Asian. Type O does not tolerate wheat products at all, and you should eliminate them completely from your diet. Wheat products are also a primary culprit in the type O weight gain. The exceptions are 100% sprouted beans, which are usually found in the freezer section of your local market or health food store. These sprouted beans are a symbol for type O because the gluten lectins are destroyed in the sprouting process. Now, these are the highly beneficial beans for you. Artichoke, flour, pasta, Essene, many bread. These are grains and cereal, excuse me. Artichoke, flour, pasta, Essene, manna bread, flaxseed bread, containing allowable grains and large fiber. These are the neutral. These are in the neutral section for grains and cereal. Amaranth, black bean flour, buckwheat, kasha, soba, cream of rice, fonia, garbanzo bean, job tears, lima bean flour, malanga, tania, millet, oat bran flour, oatmeal, rice puff cakes, quinoa, rice basmati, brown, white, wild, rice bean, rice flour, rye flour, Sagamo palm, soybean flour, spelt whole green, spelt flour noodles, tapakia, cassava, manioc, yucca, taro, Tahitian, poi, and dasheen. All these are the cereals and grains you need that are in the neutral spot. Now, these are the ones that tell you to avoid. The doctor says avoid barley, cornflakes, cornmeal, cream of wheat, emmer, familia, farina, farro, gluten flour, gram flour, grape and nuts, grits, kamut, lentil flour, mastic gum, papadum, puff wheat, 7 grains, shredded wheat, sorghum, wheat conscious durum, semolina, wheat whole grain, whole wheat flour, wheat bran, germ, white flour sprouted. These are the grains and cereals that the doctor says avoid. All right. Our body is the temple of the Most High, and we want to make sure that we give him an invitation to come dwell with us each and every single day. All right. By listening to our body, listening to wise counsel. Now we're moving on to the vegetables. All right. As I'm getting closer and closer to the end of this for the day, the vegetables, type O, the food portion, cooked or steamed, 1 cup. Vegetables, 3 to 5 times a week for African, 3 to 5 times for Caucasian, 3 to 5 times for Asian. Raw, raw vegetables, 1 cup prepared, 3 to 5 times a week for African, 3 to 5 times a week for Caucasians, 3 to 5 times a week for Asians. It said, for example, certain members of the Brassica family, cauliflower, mustard greens can inhibit the thyroid function, which is already somewhat weaker in type O. Leafy green vegetables rich in vitamin K, like collards and kale, are very good for type O. It said the nightshade vegetables like eggplant and potatoes cause arthritic conditions in type O because their lectins deposit in the tissues surrounding your joints. Corn lectin affect the production of insulin, often leading to diabetes and obesity. Type A should avoid corn, especially if you have a weight problem or a family history of diabetes. It said tomatoes are a trouble for type A and type B digestive tracts. All right, so now let's get down to it. For highly beneficial for vegetables. Artichoke, beet greens, broccoli, flour, broccoli, canisteel, chicory, collard greens, dandelion greens, escarole, fenugreek, ginger, grape leaves, horseradish, Jerusalem artichoke, kale, kelp, kohlrabi, lettuce, romaine, okra, onions, parsley, turnip, pumpkin, sea vegetables, wakame, spinach, spirulina, sweet potatoes, Swiss chard, turnip, and turnip greens. All these are highly beneficial for the O type. Neutral, arugula, asparagus pea, bamboo shoot, beet, bok choy, pak choy, broccoli Chinese, broccoli leaves, broccoli rabi, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, cassava, celery, coyote, pinobia, vegetable pear, chervil, Chinese kale, cilantro, coriander, daikon, radish, dill, eggplant, endive, fiddlehead fern, garlic, hearts of the palm, jicami, lettuce, bib, Boston, mushroom, abalone, black trumpet, enoki, matak, olive Greek, oyster plant, pepper, chili, pepper green, radish sprouts, rutabaga, sauerkraut, scallion, shallot, squash, tomato, water chestnut, watercress, yam, yucca, and zucchini. All these are good foods for you. All right, they serve as food. These are the vegetables that the doctor says avoid. Alfalfa sprouts, aloe vera, capers, cauliflower, corn and popcorn. For those of you that eat corn and popcorn, you want to watch out. Cucumbers, leeks, mushrooms, shiitake, white, silver dollar, mustard greens, olive, black, pickles, all pickles. All right. Potatoes, blue, red, and white, corn, rhubarb, and taro. Now we go into fruit. All right. Now we get closer to the end. We have fruit now. So this is the type O for fruit. Recommended fruits. One fruit or 3 to 5 ounces. All ancestral types is 3 to 4 times. I believe it's 3 to 4 times a day, matter of fact. Many wonderful fruits are available in the type O diet. Fruits are not only an important source of fiber, vitamins, and minerals, but they can also be an excellent alternative to bread and pasta for type O. If you eat a piece of fruit rather than a slice of bread, your system will be better served, and at the same time, you will be supporting your weight loss goals. Oranges and tangerines should be avoided because of their high acid content and tendency to increase intestinal toxicity. Highly beneficial. All right, fruits, bananas, type O, banana, blueberry, cherry, durian, figs, guava, mammy apple, mammy sapote, mango, plum, and prune. These are medicine for the type O. The neutral foods for fruits: acai berry, apple, apricots, boysenberry, breadfruit, canaan melon, cassava melon, Christmas melon, cranberry, crisol melon, currant, date, dewberry, elderberry, goji, wolfberry, gooseberry, grapefruit, huckleberry, jackfruit, kumquat, lemon, lime, Legonberry, Loganberry, Loquat, Mangosteen, Mulberry, Muskmelon, Nectarine, Noni, Papaye, Passion Fruit, Papaw, Peach Pear, Persian Melon, Persimmon, Pineapple, Pomegranate, Pickly Bear, Quincy, Raisin, Raspberry, Sago, Palm, Spanish Melon, Starfruit, Carabola, Strawberry, Watermelon, and Young Berry. So this is what I want to share with you all. Y'all heard all of those fruits that are highly beneficial, and all of these that's in the neutral section that are still food that you're still able to consume. This is what I want you to think about when you feel like you think about all the things that you can consume. Think about all of these fruits that it just gave you permission to eat, and some of these other things that you can still consume, but you got to be careful. It says these are the fruits that tell you to avoid right here. It said avoid the Asian pear, avoid avocado. This is going to make some people mad right here. Avocado. Type O. Avocado is not in your best interest. Bitter melon and the blackberry. Cantaloupe, coconut meat, honeydew melon, kiwi, lychee, orange, plantain, and tangerine. So these are all of the fruits that the doctor says to avoid. All right, so now we go into beverages, teas, and coffee. It says for the type O blood type, it said recommended juices 8 ounces, 2 to 3 times a day. All right. Water is giving you permission to drink juice 2 to 3 times. It says daily, but that's an 8-ounce portion. And it says for 8-ounce portions of water, it says drink 4 to 7 times a day. All right, 4 to 7 times a day. Some of us say that we want to get our 8 glasses of water in a day. You know, some of you all, you got jugs where you measure it and you know exactly how much water you're intaking. All right, so it says vegetable juices are preferable to fruit juices for type O because of their higher nutritional content. If you drink fruit juice, give preference to the low sucrose and low fructose value varieties. Limit high sugar juices like apple juice or apple cider. Pineapple juice can be particularly helpful in avoiding water retention and bloating, both factors that contribute to weight gain. All right. It said if you are a coffee drinker, I'm not going to ask y'all to put your hands up if y'all some coffee drinkers on here, but it said if you are a coffee drinker, you can begin to wean yourself by substituting it for green tea. So these are the highly beneficial beverages and teas that the doctor gives you permission to partake in. Black cherry tea, blueberry juice, cayenne tea, cherry juice, chickweed tea, club soda, dandelion tea, fenugreek tea, ginger root tea, green tea, guava juice, hops tea, linden tea, mango juice, mulberry tea, parsley tea, peppermint tea, pineapple juice, prune juice, rosehip tea, sarsaparilla tea, seltzer water, slippery elm tea, vegetable juice from highly beneficial vegetables. So all of these you can partake in. They're medicine for you. These are the ones that serve you as food. All right. Apple cider, apple juice, apricot juice, beet juice, cabbage juice, carrot juice, catnip tea, celery juice, chamomile tea, coconut water, cranberry juice, dong quai tea, elderberry juice, elder tea, ginseng tea, goji berry tea, grapefruit juice, grape juice, hawthorn tea, horehound tea, lemon and water, licorice root tea, lime juice, milk and almond milk, rice milk, soy milk, mullein tea, nectarine juice, noni juice, papaya juice, pear juice, peppermint tea, pomegranate juice, raspberry leaf tea, sage tea, skullcap tea, spearmint tea, thyme tea, tomato juice, valerian tea, vegetable juice from natural vegetables, vervan tea, watermelon juice, white birch tea, white oak tea, wine. It gives you permission to have a little red wine too. Red wine, Euro tea, yerba mate tea. These are the teas and beverages the doctor tells you to avoid right here. Alpha tea, aloe juice, aloe tea, beer, black juice, black tea, all forms, burdock tea, coconut milk, coffee, Coachfield tea, corn silk tea, cucumber juice, echinacea tea, gentilia tea, golden seal tea, liquor, distilled liquor, orange juice, red clover tea, rhubarb tea, St. John wort tea, senna tea, shepherd purse tea, soda pop. All right, I hope y'all not drinking soda pop anyway, such as colas and diet colas. They trick you with those diet colas and they try to make you seem like they're no sugar added and they make you feel like they're healthy. Don't partake in them as well. Strawberry leaf tea, tanqueray juice, white wine. All right, got to chill out with the white wine. It gives you permission to drink red wine, but not white wine and yellow dock. All right, so these are the teas and the beverages that the doctor prescribed right there. So now we're going down to this is the last section I'm covering for the day, and this is the herbs and the spices. All right, herbs and the spices. He said your choice of herbs and spices can actually improve your digestive and immune system. For example, sea vegetables and kelp-based seasonings are very good for type O because they are very rich and rich sources of sodium, rich sources of iodine, and are a source of fructose, a naturally protective sugar for type O diet. Parsley is soothing to your digestive tract, as are certain warming spices like curry and cayenne pepper. However, black and white pepper are gut irritants. So these are the highly beneficial herbs and spices for you. Highly beneficial is carob, curry, dosi, and garlic. Ginger, horseradish, kelp, parsley, pepper, cayenne, red flakes pepper, and turmeric. All these are medicine for the type O blood type. All right. These are neutral that serves as food for you. Allspice, almond extract, anise, apple pectin, arrowroot, basil, bay leaf, bergamot, caraway, cardamom, curville, chili powder, chives, chocolate, cilantro, cinnamon, cloves, coriander, cream of tartar, cumin, dill, fennel, licorice root, marjoram, mustard, dry oregano, paprika, peppermint, rosemary, saffron, sage, saltseed, savory, senna, spearmint, tarragon, thyme, vanilla, and wintergreen. And these are the herbs and spices that it tells you to avoid: guarana, mace, nutmeg, and black pepper. So, as you heard me say at the beginning of this message earlier, outside of the spirit of the Most High, health is your greatest form of wealth. Health is your greatest form of wealth. All right. So it's very important. It's very vital that we take care of the temple that our Heavenly Father has given us so that we can be like Caleb in the scriptures, that he was 85 years old. He said, I'm still able to go out. I'm still able to come in. But when I went to go buy my washer and dryer set from an individual out in the suburban area of my city, I went out there and the 80-year-old man came out to sell me the washer and dryer. And this man came out with a dolly. And I tried to help lift it into the vehicle. And he said, I got this. And he wrapped it around his dolly and he helped lift it himself. And he was around 80 years old. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if I'm now this dude, this is someone that might have been on one of these other these types right here and eating whatever kind of foods. I don't know if he has a strict diet or not, but he was 80 plus years old, still able to move around like this. How much more should you and I be able to still be able to move around instead of us walking around with our backs busted, instead of walking around with canes and crutches? How about us being able to be lively? How about us being able to jump up? How about us still being able to lift weights and still being able to do cardio and still being able to run and lunge and leap and dance for the Most High? I'm just saying, we have that ability inside of us because the Most High put it there. All right, so pray that this message hit home today, and I pray that we all value the greatest form of wealth that our Heavenly Father has given us. If you want to look into this book even more, he has a series. This book right here is called Eat Right for Your Type. This is the blood. This is the type O. All right, the type O type. All right, the A type. You have other types as well. You got the AO mixture. All right, you have cook right for your type, eat right for your type. He has a series of them. I think he probably made millions of dollars off these things. But this is a doctor, all right, that's really very passionate about getting this word out here to the masses. Some of the foods that I shared tonight, all right, they might be like, man, oh my goodness, I've been eating this all my life. You mean I got to give this up? And some of us have been eating these things as we've been on our conscious journey. We've been on our conscious journey and we've been incorporating these foods into our life. But now, after you heard all of the herbs, all of the spices, all of the fruits, all of the vegetables, everything that I shared with you tonight, you got to make some adjustments if you want your blood to be pure. You have to make the adjustments, all right? We all have to. And so I want you to think about, one more time, think about the things that you are able to consume. When I went through the fruits and vegetable list, it was pretty extensive. It was a lot of foods that you could eat. Don't focus on the things that your blood type does not like to consume. Focus on what you can have.